Shalom, everyone, and today we're studying a very important parasha. They're all important, but this one is, if you read it carefully, it's a heavy loaded emotional parasha. Why? We're talking about Parashat VaYishlaḥ, the book of Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 32, verse 4, and it speaks about few stories in the life of Jacob. The first one is the story of Jacob and approaching with his family the promised land, coming back from Haran, which is south of Turkey. And he's coming back with his family. He had a very uncomfortable encounter with his father-in-law that we read in a previous parasha. And his father-in-law really intended to kill himself, Jacob, his cousin, his nephew, and the whole family, while Jacob's four wives are Laban's daughters, which is insane. Okay, that's emotionally an event like this is very hard to get. How come somebody wants to kill his nephew, his daughters, and his grandkids? Okay, we got out of it. Now he's approaching Israel, the land of Israel. It's not called the land of Israel yet, but it's called the promised land already. And he's sending messengers or angels, depends how you read the text. In Hebrew, the word malachim means both messengers and angels. To meet Esau, his brother, remember, Jacob ran away from Esau who wanted to kill him. Now he's coming back, and now he's not a single man that is very flexible about running away and hiding. He now has a whole big family, 12 kids, four wives, and a lot of possessions. And so the story, the scary story, and it's getting, as we read the story, it's getting more scary because as he's sending the messages to his brother Esau, Esau is coming to welcome Jacob with 400 warriors. He's going to kill them all. This is a very scary thing, and we won't go into the details at that moment. The meeting, who could be bloodshed and the end of the story, somehow will go somehow. Jacob manages to turn this story around and finally have his brother hug him and kiss him. And the feud is over for that moment. Wow, what a narrow escape. So that's one story. And then within that story, there's another sub story, which is Jacob is getting ready to meet his brother and to have, to be ready for the slaughter, if that's going to happen. He's ready for everything. And meanwhile, he's getting his family across the river and on his way, and he's doing it in the middle of the night. And then the famous story of he meets that angel and he wrestles with that dark angel the whole night, which is scary enough. Yeah. Finally, he wins the battle. And he's not just winning and drive the angel away. So I'm not leaving you before you give me a blessing. And that's a very important fact to remember for the whole understanding of this, for the understanding of this parasha. Okay, we going to the next story. Okay, woof. It's like we got over with a meeting with Esau that could be really lethal. And the end of story. And then Jacob is coming to the city of Shechem. We're reading that. That's already in chapter 33. He's coming to the city of Shechem. He buys a piece of land and he settles over there. And chapter 34 starts with a horrible, horrible event. His daughter Dinah, the daughter of Leah, is being raped, but not else but the son of the leader of the city of Shechem, Nablus. That story is ending terribly because the sons of Jacob, they can't sit idle doing nothing because they say in this area, if you do not stand for your rights and your reputation, you'll be finished in an instant. So they tricked the people of Shechem and finally they killed them all. The result is horrible because Jacob is afraid of the revenge of the other tribes in the land of Canaan. He's on the go, he's running from Shechem south, and on the go, going south, on the way going south, they're in a rush. And as they pass by Bethlehem, south of Jerusalem, Rachel is giving birth and she dies at birth. Another horrible nightmare. Like, how far can it go? How terrible can it go? You ask the question, yourself the question, this is Jacob, the righteous Jacob. This is the person that everywhere call him the man of truth, the man of completion, Bechir Shebavot, the best of all patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's higher than all of them. And he goes through such, every story like this is enough to today at least, but anytime to mark like this is the end of life. It's like, how can you live with a disaster like this? But it's not over. Isaac dies in this parasha, and then we have another story. This is the chapter 36 about Esau, his children. And what's important is, and that's the most important, that we have at the end of the parasha, verse 31, ואלה המלכים אשר מלכו בארץ אדום לפני מלך לפני ישראל. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there was a king for the children of Israel. Okay, why do we need this chapter 36? And why do we need to know the names of the 8 kings of Edom that were the kings before there were kings for the children of Israel? But the chapter 36 with the kings of Edom is the answer for the question that we set before for all those horrible events that Jacob was going through. So again, my question is like this, and it's very simple. I think in our civilization, our culture, I'm part of it. I grew up, was educated in this culture. I think all of us, we figure out that if you behave yourself, you'll have a nice life. If you are a righteous and positive human being, you'll have a nice life, which means horror stories like this are not supposed to happen. If they happen, this is the end of the world. However, we know part of life is that you lose loved ones. Part of life that sometimes, it happens in the best families. Sometimes brothers fight and they don't talk to each other. It happens in a lot of places. Sometimes you have conflicts, and sometimes the conflicts are unsettled with people that are family, partners, and so on. And the question is, Jacob, the man of truth, Titen emet leYaakov, ish tam, the person of completion, the person that we learn in last week's Parashah, in Parashat VaYetze, the person who knew, not just he knew how to synthesize the supernatural and the physical, to synthesize the soul with the body, the giving with the taking, to create the harmony that is outside the box. That person, does he deserve to have such calamities happening in his life? And also in such a short time. Not that his life were like uh, so nice, full of cherries and roses just before it. But all of these horrible disasters happening in such a short time, uh, what does that mean? How do I look at it? Why does the Torah tell me? So will be maybe the result will be some people will say, if I'm going to be a righteous human being, I'll go through such. I thought that being righteous will give me a protection against those kind of calamities, disasters. Uh, what are we talking about? How do we deal with that? So, as I said before, the chapter 36 is giving us the answer. So we'll start with that. We'll start with the end of the parasha in order to understand the beginning. Sometimes, you understand only at the end of the story, you understand what happened in the beginning. So the Zohar is asking, why do we need to know about the kings of Edom? And we're going to go into the book of the Zohar, Parashat VaYishlaḥ, Hasulam commentary, verse 242. Tachaze. And we're reading, these are the kings, Genesis chapter 36, verse 31. These are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom. בארץ בסיטרא דדרגא דילי דיהו דרגא דעשיו. תכתיב עשיו הוא אדום. וכולו קאטו מסיטרא דרוח מסעבה, לפני מלוך מלך לבני ישראל, בגין דהינון דרגין דקיימין בית תרעי לתתא קדמאי. ובגין כך אמר יעקב, יעבור נא אדוני לפני עבדו, בגין דרדין דילי קדמאין אינון לעלה, וניקח לפני מלך לבני ישראל. Okay, I apologize for my Aramaic. That was Aramaic. But we need to connect to the power of the Zohar in order to get, it's not just information, but it's also meditative. By reading the Zohar, something happens to our soul, something good. Something is awakening, and that's the purpose of the reading of the Zohar. So let us understand what I just read. And what I just read, the Zohar is saying as follows. What does it mean? Who are those kings that reigned in the land of Edom? So this text about those kings is one of the major founding texts of any Kabbalistic study. And I'll explain. When we are talking about why do bad things happen to good people, that's a question. I don't think that any human being went through life without asking this question. You expect good people to have a nice, easier life. That's not the story. This is not the case. Why is it? And the answer is like this. When the world was created, okay, we have to understand that the Creator himself, with endless power, we don't know a lot about him, but we know that endless power of love and life emanates from him, from the Creator. That endless light created the universe as a vessel to receive the light, the pleasure, the fulfillment, anything that is good. That's basically presented to us when it says, and God said, let there be light. And the Zohar explains, and he saw that the light is good, and it was good. Which means everything good we can ever experience is somehow an emanation of that original, endless spiritual light. However, Since the Creator created us as his vessels, which means us, creatures, all of us, we are his vessels. And we have one goal, one calling only, to enjoy that light. However, since his gift to us was infinite, because he is infinite, the creator, the source of everything, his light is infinite, as his giving is infinite, he gave us everything, including himself. And that's why we say many times, remember that, he created us in his image. How come an infinite entity can create us in his image? He has no image because infinite means no finite definition, no boundaries, no image. So we can assume only a mental image. And that's the founding, understanding, the base foundation of understanding what human life is about. We were created in his image, which means we were created in the image of God, in the image of the creator. And that means three basic uh, basic aspects of being in the image of God. A, God is independence, is completion, is not dependent of anyone, and therefore every healthy human being, and a lot of people are not even healthy, still have a very, very subconscious and some many times conscious aspect of the yearning for independence. I cannot have my happiness, well-being, pleasure, or anything good I experience. I cannot have dependency when I'm experiencing that. And therefore, we have a problem to solve. How can we receive God's infinite pleasure and love and light when this is one-sided? There's a giver and a receiver. God is a giver. We are the receiver. This is totally not being the image of God. This is humiliating. Human beings are in a very bad place when they are dependent on others. Being dependent on others does not lead you to happiness. Impossible. Doesn't matter what the others are giving you. If you notice, you're trying to appease and please other people. Doesn't matter what you're going to do, they're always going to have a complaint and a problem. Why? You can't make them happy. Happiness is something you have to create on your own. And that means being in the image of the Creator. Another thing is giving. The Creator is a great giver. And that's why you can't find happy, egotistic people. Impossible. So, in order to solve that basic problem in that flow, in the creation of the universe, there was that tzimtzum, which means tzimtzum means contraction in a way, or shutting down. We, the souls, the vessels, God's great vessels of flight and pleasure, we were created for that purpose. We could not take it anymore. So we gave up on taking. That's called a contraction. That's tzimtzum. We stopped taking. And when we stopped taking, the light disappeared and a space was created. A space in which creation as we know it could come upon and manifest itself. What kind of a creation? An arena in which we, God's creatures, can learn how to be creators on our own. So the first stage was to shut down the light and to simply disengage with the light. Now that we are empty, we can receive the light. But that is not that simple as it sounds like. Why? In order to have free will and free choice, in a universe that is in perfect state of harmony, there's no free will. When everything is clear, when everything is simple, when the truth is so blatant and so visible, you have no free will. So the light of God came into the space, and he came in, started to create, interacting with the vessels, with the creatures, with us, creating a new universe. And the first stages created a perfect universe, a perfect, beautiful universe. Perfect and useless. Why? Because when things are perfect, they are useless. Why are they useless? Because there's no free will. And then came the crucial stage in which universes started to be created, and the light of the Creator was flowing into these new worlds. In the beginning, these new worlds were great and powerful and perfect. That was great. But then they started to fall apart. And there were 8 of them. And they are called in the Torah the 8 kings of Edom. Those 8 kings of Edom, what it says, the words are very precise. I'll read again the text. Genesis 36, verse 31. ואלה המלכים אשר מלכו בארץ אדום. And these are the kings that reign in the land of Edom. לפני מלך לבני ישראל, before there was a king to the children of Israel. Verse 32. וימלוך באדום בלה בן באור. And Bela, the son of Beor, was the king, got the reign in Edom. The name of his city was Dinhava. And it goes to verse 33. Vayamot Bela vayimloch tatav Yovav. So the words Vayamot vayimloch, Vayamot vayimloch, the Zohar is teaching us, and he got the kingdom. He was reigned, and he was crowned. He got the kingdom, but then he died. Why do we need to hear that they died? Most of them, I think, all 7. Only the last one did not. Yeah, 7 died. What does it mean? 7, the 3 upper worlds where the creation was perfect, but useless. Why useless? When you're in a perfect state, you are useless yourself. But when the lower worlds, 7 lower worlds, 7 kings of Edom, 7 kings of the red side, as they reigned, the light of the Creator filled them up, but they were too weak to contain God's infinite light. So they broke and crashed. And that's called Shvirat HaKelim, the breaking of the vessels. The concept, the broken vessels, is one of the most important concepts in understanding human life. As the vessels broke and shattered, now a new system had been created. The system that is based on the red. What is red? Judgment. What is red? Selfishness. What is red? What is Edom? That's basically the vessel that is just about himself. Every human being has that vessel. Because after the vessels broke and a new system has been created, a system of broken vessels. What does it mean, broken vessels? Vessels that are totally in this harmony. Now there were 2 systems. They're called Ma'arechet HaKdusha, the system of holiness, Kedusha, of flow and harmony. This is the system in which we learned there was a second tzimtzum in which a new vessel was created, a vessel that is basically the vessel we spoke about it in last week's Parashah VaYishlaḥ, a vessel that is a synthesis between giving and receiving. It is a vessel that has automatically that consciousness that when you receive, you give, when you give, you receive, and there's never a contradiction, which means you will never give without giving, receive without giving. You'll never give without understanding how to get something out of it. This is called the holy system, Ma'arechet HaKdusha. This is the system of harmony and synthesis. Abram, Isaac, and Jacob symbolize in the stories of the Torah these three aspects of every human soul. Deep inside, we all have that holy spark. Deep inside, we all creatures of God. We all coming from that system. However, another system had to be created also. And that system was created when the vessels crushed. Now, this is the system that is based on selfish desire. When you receive only for yourself alone, you reign, you feel powerful, you feel strong, you're the winner, and then you crush. I call it always high and by. You get what you want, whenever you want, how you want, you don't care about anyone, and it feels so great. And then you crush. Because that's the impure system, Ma'arechet HaTum'ah. Impure means this is the system of blockage, of negativity. A lot of the vessels that were created originally by the Creator broke in that shattering of the vessels. And now that allowed the duality between the holy system and the broken system, now that they mixed with each other, especially after the sin of Adam. And what is the result? That we live in a world that has the two systems engage with each other, and our human job is to sort through the universe, connect to the pure system, and correct the broken vessels. How do we correct the broken vessels? When we engage with them. How do we engage with the broken vessels? When we meet the controversial, when we meet the paradox, when we meet the impossible, when we meet the crisis, when we meet the broken parts of our lives, and we step up to the plate, instead of letting it breaking us, we realize these are our greatest moments. Why? Let's continue. משום שאלו המדרגות העומדות בבתי שער למטה, דהיינו המדרגות של סף, those levels, those sparks of broken vessels are levels of souls that are called the levels of Esav. הן קודמות להשתלם, they always come first. Who's born first? Esav. Who's born first? A baby. What's the dominant part of a baby? Selfishness, unkindness, uncontrolled desires for stuff, no will to settle for anything. You cry. It's like, as you know, you look at the children. It's like manic depressive. They want something, they'll cry, they scream, they'll set a tantrum. Why? Because they want it. Who cares? They don't, there's no negotiation. It's very hard to deal with them. That's why Esau vessels come first. That's why in society, what comes first? The egotistic, the eccentric, they don't care about anyone. Oh yeah, that comes first. Those kings reigned, ruled first, because in every system, every chapter in human uh, growth and evolution, first, the lower levels are being built. What are the lower levels? The Edom levels. In every aspect of human life. In a human development, personal, in a society development, okay, social, in politics, in history, in relations among nations, you ask yourself, why is it there's so much injustice, so much cruelty? It's dominant in human history. Why? Because always those levels come first. Before there was a king to the children of Israel, because it's not the time yet for the heavenly kingdom to rule and to unite with the children of Israel. And therefore, when Esau says to Jacob, you know, let's go together. Let's walk together. And Jacob is saying, no, no, my master, you should go ahead of us. What does it mean? Jacob, who is representing that voice in every human being of synthesis, that inner voice that knows what's right and what's wrong, that knows that selfishness is bad, is evil, that has what we call conscience, that part that knows what's right. This is an inner voice. And that inner voice knows that you need patience. You know you can't take over. It's not the time yet. You have to let that Esau, go ahead. Go ahead. It's your time. It's not our time. You want justice, you want perfection, you want love, we're not there yet. You're not there yet. You know, I think we all met people. We all know what people are capable of. People fall very easily into all kinds of the kingdom of Esau, which means darkness, hatred, fear, anxiety that make us not nice, not honest. This is the way the world is structured. But to understand what does it mean, כשיושלמו את תחילה אלו המדרגות, verse 243, תתעורר אחר כך מלכות שמיים לשלוט על התחתונים. Which means, in order for the heavenly kingdom to rule, the lower kingdoms must be completed. And how do they get completed? It depends on each one of us. When we face those broken vessels, which means injustice, cruelty, imperfection, disasters, whatever stumbling blocks that a human being can experience, on our way to pleasure and happiness and certainty and faith, when we face them, it's because we need to correct them. We need to bring them into appeasement. How do we do that? So we explained it last week, Parashah, VaYishlaḥ. When we see the injustice, when we see the imperfection, instead of becoming victims of that discomfort, pain, and misery, we should take the reign. How? by shutting down our reaction. The reaction is coming from the kings of Esau, the broken kings of Esau, from the broken vessels. For those vessels that are, oh, what's wrong is coming from these broken vessels. How do you correct them? When you experience the fear, the anxiety, the broken moment, you feel that you're broken inside. And instead of being a victim to that, you take control. You shut down the victimization, the anger, the fear, the depletion, and you simply step up and you become the king. How do you become the king? When you look at the reaction, you, instead of being a victim of that reaction, horrible stuff happened to people, but we have a choice. We can let it control us and we can join the party of darkness and negativity and make it even worse, or we become the kings of our lives. We look at the broken vessel. We look at the pain, the negativity, the discomfort, everything that is wrong inside ourselves as a reaction of what happened outside. We stop the reaction. We overcome the reaction. We connect to Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We insert in faith, trust, light, everything we can, we pull it from above because we prayed for it, we asked for it, we have faith in it, and we impose positivity, trust, faith into the picture. We're saying it's all for the good. When we overcoming that crisis, that feeling of broken vessels, and we put it together, we create a synthesis. We correct. At that moment, I completed my task in the God forces. I'm part of God's soldiers. My job is not to become a victim. My job is to overcome. My job is to turn the darkness into light, the bitterness into sweet, the broken into complete. And when I do that, I complete that level that I wasn't trusted with when the disaster happened to me. I simply encountered with a broken vessel that my job as a soul in my journey is to deal with. And I deal with that. And when I do that, I completed that madriga, that level. Now this is done. When humanity completes a critical mass of levels corrected, then the heavenly kingdom can start to be felt. Not before that. Not before we humans realize our purpose. We're not here to experience nice, quiet, easy, comfortable, pleasurable life. No. We're here to build the levels of the heavenly kingdom. In order to do that, we have to encounter those crashes, those disasters, those terrible events in our lives. And as a human being, you have to face them. And if you're ready for that because you study and you train and you meditate and you pray, you'll be ready whenever a battle like this will appear. So we learn over here from Jacob, how does he treat the first battle? The first round is when Jacob is getting ready to meet his brother Esau, right? He knows his brother wants to kill him. That's why he went to Haran in the first place. Okay? And the Zohar is asking a very simple question. Esau chose to live in Edom. It's another country, just across and behind the Dead Sea. Okay? Who can swim through the Dead Sea? Who can, how many ships sail through the Dead Sea? They're leaving behind the Dead Sea. Why you have to mention it? So Jacob does not want to procrastinate. That's one of the signs of, when you're really there. You want to deal with this now. You want to solve the problem now. Okay? So you try to do that. Not always we can do that. So what happens? He, Jacob, sends angels, messengers. Now, what was it? Probably both. Why? Because the Torah is telling us that he's sending Esau people with a lot of gifts. In today's numbers, that what he sent is a worth of millions of dollars of today market. No, he's sending hundreds of cows, sheep, goats, camels. That could be hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth. You know how much is a camel right now in the Middle East? Okay. Oxen, cows, that's a lot of money. He sent them group after group, so many of them. That's a fortune. Esau is in shock. Yeah. So the Zohar is saying, and that's a very famous thing, not just in the Zohar, when you're ready to fight your rival, you need to take three tactics. One is sending gifts, okay? Saying, I'm here for peace. And, basically, since human beings are, they have passions, they have, they're greedy. You send them gifts, but you don't know. Sometimes you send them gifts. It's like feeding a crocodile. You bring a chicken, a whole chicken to feed a crocodile. When you live in Florida, they tell you don't feed them because they can't tell the difference between what you hold in your hands and you. It's a prey, right? So there are people like this, and you have to be careful. It's not always the same story. So you feed them, and then they prey over you. Okay, but in most cases, when you feed them, when you give them present, whatever you arouse their greediness, you can get away in a way. He's trying to do that. He's doing another thing also. He's praying. He's praying to God. And, we learn that when you pray and you pray from the bottom of your heart, you can correct a lot of stuff. Why are you facing such a disaster, a crisis? There are broken vessels to correct. Remember that. How do I correct them? Praying is a one great tool to correct, because when you pray out of faith and love and excitement about the future, out of trust in God, out of totally accepting what's going on, and taking responsibility without being bitter and miserable and complainer. Don't be that. That's, praying from the place of trust and love. That will correct the broken vessels. And when they are broken, you feel pain because they're broken. And when you fix them, the pain is gone. And you'll be ready for the next crisis. Okay? We're not here to rest on our laurels. Remember that. That will happen only when the heavenly kingdom comes. We're not there yet. So, the spiritual human being is ready for the war. And that means you're ready to offer peace. You're ready to pray, like your life depends on this, because your life depends on it. And at the same time, be ready practically for a war. All kinds of war. The economical war, competition, in this case, for physical war. But here, he found his own way to trick Esau. He's saying, I won't go into it too much, I lived with Lavan and I got all of that. So on one hand, he's saying, look, I'm so rich and I want to share it with you. Enjoy it. I'm your brother. I'm sorry for what I've done to you, and I'm going to compensate you with so much wealth. That's nice, right? At the same time, Jacob is smarter than that. When he says, Vayili shov v'chamor, I had an ox and a donkey, a slave and a female slave, the Zohar is asking, why in single you had oxen and donkeys? Why didn't you say cows and camels? Because the Zohar says Esau was not stupid. He was raised like Jacob in the house of Isaac. They were raised and educated by Abraham, their grandfather, till their bar mitzvah. Esau knew something. An ox and a donkey, a male serf and a female serf, these are also hidden names for the dark side. When he says that, he says, I lived with Lavan. The Zohar says everybody around the world at that time knew that the worst, most vicious, cruel, greedy, and powerful warlock in the world was Lavan. So Jacob is saying, I mastered all 4 levels of the dark side. The dark arts of witchcraft and sorcery. And the proof is, I got out of Lavan with such a wealth. Esau started to be afraid. You want to win, you have to be wise. Esau had an army of 400 men coming to slaughter Jacob. Jacob had only his wits, 12 kids and 4 wives. He can't fight. It's not a fair fight. Okay? So choose an arena in which you have a fair fight. Psychological warfare. Don't be obvious in front of your enemy. Don't let him really know what cards are you holding behind your back. Don't show your cards. He tricked Esau. Esau, on one hand, was flattered. On the other hand, he was threatened. He was so scared out of Jacob. And that's how Jacob got him mixed up. Till finally, the Zohar says, when he kissed him with all his heart, because he was relieved when he realized that Jacob is bowing down to him. That was another. He played with his ego. And when you realize that your adversary is full of ego, instead of complaining about it, ego is the most stupid stuff that you can hold on to. Ego kills the biggest warriors. And that's why our sages are saying, who's the real hero? The one who overcomes his evil inclination. And the one who overcomes his evil inclination is greater than the one who conquers a city. We look at what happened in the last year in politics, how the ego of Hamas, Sinwar, Nasrallah, they thought they're already so strong, they got blinded. They believed to their propaganda. They're not alive, neither of them. Their system in Iran is all crushed, almost to the bottom. Why? Because when you go with the ego and hatred, you can be deceived so easily because you are now aligning with the dead kings of Edom. In order to, and you don't really get what the game is about. The game is not about who's stronger. Because, being very strong, uh, very powerful, speaking high, winning, creating anguish and pain all around you, this is not a winning card. That's a losing card. That's only the losers use that, but they don't know that till the end has come. We have to remember that. You want to be with the heavenly kingdom, you have to be there realizing I'm here to correct, to synthesize, to put together, to take whatever is wrong and fault and not to get upset about and to get even, but to correct with patience, with love, with care, never with faith, never give that up. And you win. You become with the good ones. You side with not the broken vessels. You correct the broken vessels. So you are siding with the winning army. However, that needs a lot of patience. So we continue where it says, in this parasha, with all of those crises, this is when Jacob is getting the name Israel. What is Israel? Israel, first of all, means in Hebrew, the one who can fight with angels and win. Which angel? The dark angel of Esau. We all have that dark angel. It's called the evil inclination. Jacob is simply showing the way to all of humanity. How do you win this ongoing war? It's going on for thousands of years. Oh, it has a limit. We're coming really close to the end of it. Speak about it. So Jacob, as we said, Jacob comes from the word a heel, okay? A heel, which means it's the lowest part of the body. And, he's coming from that place that in this world, who is coming last? The good ones, the nice ones, the righteous ones. They don't get the fame. They don't get the power. They don't get the leadership. They don't get the appreciation. Who gets appreciation? All the egotistic, neurotic people get the power, the money, the fame, they lie, they rob, the corruption. That's the kings of Edom. Okay? So Jacob started from that place. Yes, you're the nice, good one. You're coming last. But he fought with the angel and he got the name. Think about it. He's fighting with the angel, the dark angel of Esau, for all of humanity. And then he's holding on to him. And the angel says, let me go, you won. He says, no, no, you give me a blessing. Because you get the blessing when you don't give up. When you don't give up, when is that you get the blessing? When you win the fight in the midst of the pain, the misery, when everything is so ugly and looks unjust. This is the time to win the game. This is the time to correct the broken vessel. You are the one who's facing it, and you are one who will get the victory and the prize, correcting another level towards the heavenly kingdom. And that's how Jacob becomes Israel. Now, there are many ways to explain Israel, but Israel, if Jacob was Tiferet, in the Sefirot, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferet. When Jacob becomes Israel, this is above all of them. It's including of all of them. It's a real synthesis of all of them because you have in the word Israel, you have Aleph for Abraham, and Sin, the letter Sin for Sarah. You have Yud for Yitzchak and Reish for Rivka. You have Yud for Yaakov. You have Lamed for Leah and Reish for Rachel. You have all three forefathers and four foremothers in your name. You become the grandmaster of synthesis of all forces of victory. That's what Israel. And that's what it means. The Shoresh means fighting the angel and winning the dark angel. But there's more to it. The Zohar calls it in verse 246. There's another name for Israel is Yeshurun. It's the plural of Yashar. Yashar, when you reach the correction, everything becomes straight and simple. Why? Because that's how the universe was created. Now it's not straight, now it's broken. But the code behind Israel is basically to make it straight. How? Don't ask for it. Don't demand it from others. You have to create it yourself. You have to be the creator of your own straight way to the light. It's your job. Nobody can do it for you. Other people can do it for themselves. Jacob did not do it for us. He created the road. Now you have to walk that road by yourself. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob created the thinking, the system, the mindset. We have to use that in order to make our own fight and win. Israel is also srara, government, power, might. Yes, after you took over your own demons, then you have the power to show around the world. You'll be smart enough, wise enough, powerful enough to lead people towards the right direction. However, that needs a lot of patience. And that's why the Zohar is saying, uh, it's a long article, but basically what it says, oh, here it is. It says like this, the same way uh, the redemption will come, and it says that's going to be like sunrise. Sunrise does not happen like in the cartoon sometimes. You hear uh, the uh, the call of the rooster, and then suddenly the sun hops to the middle of the sky. No, that's only in cartoons. In real life, the sky become very dark, and then they start to light up in the east, slowly, slowly. Why? Because this is how the redemption is happening. Slowly, slowly. Why? Because we have to build those stages of correcting the broken vessels. Humanity have to realize there's one big system, one huge system. We are all part of that system. Abraham and Isaac and Jacob established the system. The nation of Israel on Mount Sinai got the mission to continue the job. And then it started to spread to the rest of the nations. Basically, every nation has its own correction of its own level of the broken vessels to correct. And that's why different nations have different culture and different values. So again, every nation has the dark side to overcome, idol worshiping, killing, whatever. And you have the 7 Noahide laws for all the nations that if you go against those laws, you're not fixing, you're not correcting, you're destroying, you're delaying. Basically, the system will all, the Zohar says, all will get together and serve the main pillar of the correction, the one that is basically described in the Torah. And then it will happen slowly, slowly, like the dawn in the morning, getting slowly, slowly. You can't see with the eye because it's so slow. It's getting lighter and lighter, more light and more light. And then, even when the sun starts to rise, you can see just a sliver in the beginning. And even when the sun is rising, it's still not full light. It takes time till noontime, till it's full light. So we have to remember that this is basically our destination, our job, our destiny, our calling for every human being. And therefore, we have to remember, we have through praying and study, and praying and study, and awareness, and friendship with people who really on the same journey, learn that crisis is not a curse, that a disaster is not really a disaster. All of these events that happen to us, they are all opportunities for us to put our, 10 cents into the great job of human correction. So don't get scared. But if I got scared, did I made a felony? No. The fact that you got scared, we all get scared. It means there's a tikkun. If I didn't get scared, there's no tikkun. There's no bitterness to turn into sweet. So yes, it's okay to get scared. But then, take the opportunity, work it on it. Stop the reaction. Okay? What if I try to stop? Dial again. Dial God. Connect to the light. Pray again and again till you see the light, till you get your senses back, till you put the synthesis, the heaven and the earth, the right and the left, the love and the judgment, which means putting the boundaries, till you create the synthesis outside of your logic. This is outside the box. There is a solution. What? I don't know. So I have to pray for it. I have to have faith in it. I have to have certain in it. That is the fight. Why is it so hard? Correction is not easy. Even the physical level. Something broke down. You want to fix it. The more complicated it is, the bigger it is, it's harder to fix. We're fixing our souls. And when we fix our souls, each one of us is putting another part of the stages for the heavenly kingdom. And that will start to unfold. And as we know that we are so close to the end, we can start here and there see how the world is moving slowly, slowly towards a more just world, a world that makes more sense, that you can really find Yeshua in the right, straight direction. How do you know it's straight? As we said last week, no complications, true faith, true love. And then things simply get there. And you get to solve the problems. This is not just for this week, but this is the miracle we're talking about in the month of Kislev, rising above. What the logic is saying, this is horrible, this is a disaster. Nothing I can do about it. The world is unjust, this is terrible, and so on. So instead of being a complainer, be a winner. You created the biggest miracle ever. You made the miracle of getting yourself from a loser to a winner. There's no bigger miracle than that. Good luck for all of us. Not just today, not just this week, not just this month. This is a message for all of us, for all of times. Here we can see the heavenly kingdom starting to unfold in front of our eyes. Thank you so much.